there's no work in voice acting right now. Most of us that are voice acting, wait, it's not your turn. I didn't even hear what they said, so, but I'm talking. The fact is, and most of us keep live journals or MySpaces or Facebooks, and Kyle Abear breaks my heart to read his, live journal entries, but I like the fact that he keeps writing about what it's like to be an actor and be out of work, because there's really not a lot of work in voice acting right now. Most of them are doing video game work and stuff like that. And these are people whose names you recognize, but there's just, this is a weird time, especially for the anime industry. So my advice to anybody that's interested in being a voice actor is start working on being an actor first, because that's where all of us started. And there are plenty of acting avenues, but just not necessarily a lot of voice acting avenues right now. That doesn't mean that won't change. That doesn't mean it won't get better or worse. There's no guarantees for anything. But the training and all the steps that you go through to become an actor are the same. The reason I say this, there are a lot of out-of-work voice actors right now that are making a living selling voice acting classes to fans just because it's an easy buck. Don't do that. Take acting lessons from someone that makes their living teaching acting, not just a person that was a voice in a show once upon a time. Because I know these people, and most of them are just out to rip you off. It makes me very angry because I'm an anime fan, and I know how much it is a dream for some people to be a voice actor, and that's neat. I think it's very cool. But when I hear people talking about, oh yeah, well, you need to do a workshop and make blah 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 money, knowing that there's no work, to me that just says, hey, well, how can I make money off of these people? That's where I want to get into a different fight with somebody trying to rip you guys off. I've never stopped considering myself a fan, and I think what gets me in trouble with some actors sometimes is when they talk about fans, I still hear them talking about me because I'm still a fan. So I say that, and I still watch anime. I still get nerdy about video games. I mean, I've never stopped liking the things that I like. So, and I consider anime fans my friends. So, I don't want to think of people ripping you guys off. So that's why I say take acting from someone that makes a living training acting. My brother, Johnny Bosch, Monica Rial, myself, none of us learned what we know from voice actors. We learned it from theater and drama classes and voice lessons and things like that. So, take the same kind of lessons we did. I would recommend music lessons though, because you never know when you might end up singing in a show. So, yeah.
Are you, your brother, and Johnny Bosch
Oh, yeah. I mean, Johnny played my best friend in that, which was super nerdy for me because Johnny's one of my best friends. I mean, Johnny's a very, very close friend of mine. He's one of my best friends, and that's super nerdy because I used to be a big fan of his work. So, you want to know how weird it feels like to be like, hey, are you going to be an anime fan? And they're like calling you like, hey, are you going to be here? I hope we do more work together. I'd actually like to do a video game with Johnny. Because it was almost a joke for a while. Every time I turned my 360 on, there was Johnny doing something. And it was funny because Johnny and I were up for the same role in Last Remnant, which my brother ended up playing, and Johnny ended up playing the lead. And it was funny because I called him. I was like, hey, congratulations on the Square game. And he's like, what do you know about that? And I was like, well, it was kind of between us, I think. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm like, no, dude, I don't care as long as they didn't give it to, and I said the name of an actor I don't like. And he was like, wow. But, and so I'd love to do a video game with Johnny. I think that would be a lot of fun. I've already been in several anime with Johnny now. He played one of my best friends in Burst Angel. He was Saku in Beck. He doesn't get to in Saku in Beck. I like that character a lot too. So, yeah.
Video account was actually Christian animation series and you would follow the manga. If you have the option to voice maybe again because that's happening because the last series you're in there was more action series.
Oh yeah, believe me.
This one actually kind of showing would you actually have the
I would always love to do, I mean, like, a lot of actors will tell you, oh, I'd love to do anything that pays. I have an interest in continuing any role that I've done for a long time. It's one of the reasons I got so angry about what they did with Simon Key. I love that still gets to grow. I spent a year of my life working on that show, and it was a show that I loved, too. So for them to give that show to other people and then tell them basically to do a crappy impersonation of us really made me mad. That being said, I would love for maybe Negi to reach puberty and his voice to get just a little lower. Every time I go to do that, I'm like, okay, here we go. You know, like, but we couldn't find a way of making Negi more fun. My newest director for Negima is Jamie Markey, who most of you Beck fans probably know her as the Cursing Carrot Page. Or those fans of Burst Angel, she's the very gifted cowgirl, Meg, in Burst Angel. She was our director, and she's kind of a bawdy, loud, talking redhead, and she's a lot of fun, and she couldn't get over the fact that it never stopped being funny for her to hear Negi say dirty things. Well, at the time, I was still smoking a lot. So I had to earn every cigarette break by telling a horrific joke in Negi's voice. And that's how I earned... Oh, God. By horrific, I mean dark. Let me think of a really good one that's not going to get me like hurt later. I will tell a random Negi joke in a minute in his voice. I've got to really think of one that's not dirty because I told some. They have footage or tape of me telling all these jokes and they're awful. But it's funny. This time around, I used to complain about doing that voice when we did the new Negima series. Negima exclamation point question mark or question mark exclamation point. Well, I just started calling it Negima. Say it without having to say the punctuation. When we went in to do that show, it was not a problem to do that voice again. I guess because I did it for so long and it hurt so bad. I guess I just got used to it. But I would like his voice to be just a tiny bit lower. I could record forever if that was the case. But I do have a friend that's a big fan of the manga, and he's been keeping me up to date on what's going on with it. And so hopefully, I would love to continue any role I spend a great deal of time working on. Wow, so now I've got to sing and tell a dirty joke. With a green hat, just because your hat's kind of cool. Uh-oh, somebody's talking to you now. Okay, so
I know Funimation and ATV have different styles of recording dialogue for their shows.
Uh-huh.
Do you find there was sort of an odd transition when you first went into your Funimation show, or is there a different way you approach the recording?
Well, I was lucky because, and they do record totally different. Funimation uses a beep or a click system. It's the way they loop audio for films. It's a series of 3 sounds, either beeps or clicks. Funimation uses beeps. And it beeps 3 times, and you start acting where the 4th beep would be. So it's like beep, beep, beep. That is a very weird way of doing it when you've done the chase method, which is where you watch it, and they leave the Japanese playing in your headset, and you use that as a reference point. And to me, always doing the chase method seemed more organic. There was more of a flow to doing it that way, and I found we worked a lot faster when I would record that way, versus the click system. That being said, I also was fortunate enough to work with Carl Masick before he stopped working for ADV, and because Carl likes to do everything his way, that's the way Carl worked. So I didn't have quite the big learning curve when I went up to Funimation the first time because I had already worked with Carl. And people teased, people would make fun of that style of recording. They're like, oh, you're working with Carl. Beep, 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 have fun. But the funny thing about it was when I made the move